Hey troops, what a glorious day. Beautiful, eh? Just been meditating, so bear with me. I'm always, when I've come out of a deep meditation, especially if I don't ground and I've intentionally not grounded my energy, I'm just going to enjoy being high and not too grounded for a moment longer before I set off back. Anyway, waffling. I wanted to pop on to not answer a question, it's personal, but share some insights on a question that was given to me, presented to me. And the question was along the lines of, what can they do to enhance their development, bring them more in alignment with their healing, a higher state of consciousness, and how they can release fears and traumas and all these kind of things that they are feeling is holding down the collective consciousness. And it really struck a chord with me, that I was like, wow. And they were basically asking the advice, what can they do? And they proposed it in this exact way. I'm not reading between lines, this is exactly as they proposed it, because they're concerned they are slowing down the consciousness shift of the collective, everybody else. If you are having a thought like that, let me tell you now, you've got nothing to worry about. You're already way ahead of everybody else. You may have some traumas to heal and shadow work to do and many other things, many other descriptors of just deep healing. Whether you prescribe to the idea we reincarnate, I can tell you that's the truth. If you don't believe the soul is eternal and that you reincarnate into a physical form, well, you're a dinosaur and your head's well and truly in the sand, because this isn't just it's been proven. I'm not even going to talk about it. If that's news to you and you don't believe that, I give you a lot of empathy, because you're way off the truth of things, and it's really stopping many miracles and synchronicities and many things, allowing your soul to ascend and for you to have a truly, from my perspective, a truly prosperous life. So if you don't believe in a higher power, God, the universe, whatever it is, a higher power, and you think when you die you're worm food, I can tell you categorically that you're incorrect. That's just the truth. But also I feel, like I say, empathy for you, because if that is the truth you've aligned with, which is a falsehood, your progress from this now moment moving forward is going to be very difficult for you until you align with the truth that we are all connected, we are all from one, and that there is a force, a power way beyond humanity's comprehension, but also that's not to be feared. That makes life, the universe, an unbelievably magical place, doesn't it? Anyway, getting a little bit deep. Back to the question. I digress even more when my energy's high, it seems. So anyone that's thinking to themselves that they are worried, that they are holding back the collective because of their own traumas and everything that I mentioned before, I can tell you that because you are having that thought, that you are on track. You've got nothing to worry about. And this isn't deadlines. It's a very linear way of thinking. That's the reality we've been creating in this lower consciousness. It's not a judgment of the consciousness and the outward reality that's been playing. It's just an observational truth of it. And it's been very linear in its thinking. And we're not in that time anymore. We're especially after the solar flare, which is already arriving energetically now, and will continue to over the next few days. And you'll see that outward playing in reality. Watch what happens in the news, the big truths that come, the consciousness shifts, the timelines that we jump up. Not up, but I use up as a descriptor of a higher state of consciousness. So the higher up the consciousness we shift, like higher up the timelines. It's not the absolute truth of how it works, but it's an easier way to understand it, I think. So so it's going to cause some big jumps that it's going to expose many things, reveal the truth, the veils are being removed, the wolves in sheep clothing will start to be revealed. So and this is another topic I'm going to touch on, and I'll finish with the previous question. You're moving at your own pace, and that's just fine. It doesn't matter, because energy isn't bound by time. So you will be at a certain level of consciousness, healing, alignment, whatever descriptor you want to use at this here now moment, ready for the solar flare. And there are some that will be from an evolutionary perspective of their soul or consciousness or expansion of their spirit, knowledge, whatever. Same thing really in many aspects. That are evolved beyond you. It could be just they've been around longer than you. They've had more experiences than you. They've had more past lives than you. They've been in a certain form for longer than you. You've not experienced what they've experienced, and vice versa. You're all going at the same, at different speeds, paces of things, different evolutionary processes of the soul, and then everything that comes through that, which is everything, your whole reality. We're all moving at different speeds. But the important thing is, are you aligned? And if you are aligned with unity, love, the truth, prosperity, all those things that, describe how heaven would be manifested on earth. Because it's not going to be manifested with separation, greed, needless suffering, hate, anger, all those things. It's not going to manifest heaven, isn't it? So if you're aligned, simply don't think about where you're at, in terms of you might not have the same spiritual lingo as some people. You might not have the deep understanding of esoteric truths, and you're hearing things about alchemy and all this kind of stuff, and you're like, oh, it's overwhelming. I do not understand any of this. It's irrelevant. You will when it comes to you, because that'll be your time to have an understanding of it. That's how the universe works. But you just have to be aligned. Be aligned with the truth. You'll be presented with the truth. Actually command it, though. This is something that we really need to get a better understanding of. That's something that hasn't been taught to humanity, that we need to understand. And it does fall in line with things you've heard, like the law of attraction and things like this. But there's only it's very bitty, isn't it? It's very bitty, the truth. The truth is, the way the old world was set up, with the alignments and the energy of everything, which I will speak more in depthly, and the source energy that's been connected to Earth, and different stars that's been connected to Earth influencing. It's not just the planets that influence the beings and the Earth, the stars, which are actually a much greater force of power. But we don't hear much about that, do we? We hear about the planetary bodies that are much closer to us, and we think, oh, because they're close, they have a greater influence. These stars might be billions of light years away, but the fact you can see them shows that they are connected energetically, so they're influencing them. If you can't see them, anyway, I digress, as I always do. So yeah, as long as you're aligned with love, you're aligned with justice, you're aligned with truth, you're aligned with unity, you're aligned with being a healer, you're aligned with being a teacher, and your intentions are for the betterment of others, then this world that we're moving into, this diamond age, not a golden age, we move through the golden age now. It was only a quick transition to the diamond age. The diamond age is the full clarity. Diamond is actually clarity, isn't it? It actually is clarity. Clarity, truth, nowhere to hide. You can't warp it. You look straight through a diamond, it's crystal clear vision, crystalline body, the truth, the full spectrum of light with no warping of it. People that resonates will have an understanding of what I'm speaking of. I'm speaking about things on the micro to the macro cosmic level of energy and how it works. So that's it. You just have to be aligned. So if you're aligned, you're not holding down consciousness. You are elevating it. If you're aligned with those things, service to others, that's it. So that's it. If you've done that bit, everything else will take care of itself. Just surrender to the fact you are aligned. You are aligned to service to others, to manifesting heaven on earth, to being, being the teacher in a corrupted school that sees things that are just doesn't resonate with you because it's not the truth of how we should be teaching our children. Then stand up or join a different school. Be the light in some way, shape or form. If you're in the police force, the military, the political system, the news broadcasting networks, now's the time to start aligning with the truth. That's it. But it's happening already. It's happening already. So I'm not gonna start going into names of things because it's a waste of my energy. Others may do that. That's their call. But what I will say is, the veil now is going to be truly lifted, and there's going to be many shocks, many shocks. And I'm going to use this name as just one example, but let me say first and foremost, as well as Mr. T was the perfect narcissist president, sort of egotistical president to come in so we could get things to where they are now. He was perfect that time. Do I think long term he's the perfect leader? No, I don't, because I don't think he's well-rounded enough. He was perfect for that time. He'll be perfect for the next few years when they bring him back in to office. But then DeSantis 2024, or whoever, there might be someone else running similar. But for now, DeSantis, much more well-rounded, much more balanced. But DeSantis wouldn't have been perfect for Mr. T's role at that time. Okay, so this is why you can't stay too fixed, or I believe you shouldn't stay too fixed. So then, when I say someone like, let's just say, for example, David Icke, he has woken so many people up. He has united so many people. Now, do I think he's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? No, I don't, unfortunately. Why? Because he doesn't seem to have been mentioning much the human trafficking on a large scale. Doesn't seem to have been mentioning much about the rife paedophilia. Not just the establishment of the Catholic Church stuff, but it's been just heavily focused towards the reptilian agenda, the draconians, and all this stuff, which is all very real. It's all truth. But it was like he was giving you some truth, but not the whole truth. And for me, what then David Icke's pervading message was, although lots of truth in it, and like the Bible, lots of truth, but falsehoods, misdirection, and many other scriptures, and pretty much all the ascended masters. If you see New Agers promoting ascended masters and even promoting Jesus as an ascended master, which is actually stripping him down, these are your wolves in sheep's clothing. If you're listening to the New Agers and they are just talking predominantly about self-love, which is an important aspect for healing, of course, but it won't shift you onto a timeline of a higher purpose and higher enlightenment if you're not in service to others, which is barely what they talk about. And they very rarely speak about beings such as Jesus and such like of the light. They like to give a lot of focus on ascended masters, which are much more in alignment with self-service. And then saying if you serve yourself, the outward reality, then playing will be one that is much more in alignment with you. And that's true. But what they're actually saying is it'll be a self-serving reality. So that's a bit of a misdirection as well. It's quite a massive misdirection actually, because if you think that being a spiritual, enlightened being is just imagining and manifesting a world where it's to serve the self and then you totally ignore what's truly going on in the world, then you have been misled, I'm afraid to say. We have to truly acknowledge what's going on because that's the truth. And once we acknowledge the truth of everything that's going on, then we can align with the truth and then go about and manifesting anew. So the New Agers for me are just as dangerous, that are kind of beating that drum, as the hardcore religious type that say you can't move out of any kind of elevated state because you're all born in sin, which is absolutely mental as well. So, and David Icke is predominantly promoting fear from my perspective now, predominantly promoting fear because he's not trying to lead anybody away. He's certainly not been speaking about one of the biggest truths that there are, which if anyone's not talking about the human trafficking crisis, they're not accepting that as a truth, or not saying very much for it, and they've got a big platform, makes me very suspicious of them. Very suspicious of them. And that's the truth. And another thing I'll say is there are a lot of, because then I've had people messaging me about other truthers, some I've even connected with and been good friends with, that now may be doing some sort of talk shows or other alternative medias. And personally, I got asked to be part of these, and for me, I could see what was coming. Another wolf in sheep's clothing situation where they bring you in, you can talk about this, you can talk about that, this is going to be alternative media, and then when they've brought them in, and I've watched it, and I've been like, damn, you know, shows I was right about what I thought and felt about it. That they're basically bringing them in, you can talk about this and talk about, but don't talk about, it's a bit too sensitive, that one. So if you notice how all these alternative media that have been coming up, you know, they're attached to the likes of the David Icks of the world and stuff. They're coming on and they're talking about different stuff to the regular news, but nothing really. No big truth bombs. They're not going after corrupted politicians. They're not going to trying to dismantle the system. In fact, what they've done is they brought them in and said, you can speak the truth, but our truth, and we need to tame things down. They've essentially controlled them. And that's what's happened to a lot of people, truthers and New Agers. They've fell into a trap now of control also. So this is why I've just stayed as independent, popped on the odd one or two shows, but totally under my conditions and this, that and the other. And even when I did get interviewed, when I was doing the rallies and uniting people, I was interviewed umpteen times by ITV and many others, and I shared the videos at the time. One of the interviews was like 20 minutes long, and because I was so immovable, they were trying to maneuver me to say certain things. I was immovable, and because I was immovable and they couldn't sway me from my truth and the truth of how I see things, the interviews, one of them that was 20 odd minutes long was like about 20 seconds when it aired, and other interviews I did just didn't get aired. Why? Because I couldn't be manoeuvred, and if they'd have manoeuvred me then, they'd have gone, oh, you're good at presenting, why don't you come on the show? That's what they'd have done. So it's a shame to have seen that transpire as well, but again, the truth will out now. So all these sheeps in wolves clothing that are predominantly focused on self-love, self, not saying that's a bad thing. Of course, we need to heal ourselves, take care of ourselves. But if they're not speaking much about service to others, this is the universal principle, the universal law, right? When you give energy outside of yourself, the universe returns it. And if you keep giving of yourself, the energy returns. Now, you don't do it for that, but that's how it truly works. So in this new alignment, in this new alignment we're moving into, that's how things work. That's the age we're moving into that people are speaking about, the heaven on earth, whatever descriptor you want to use, unity. And there's been many deceptions out there, so you know, also don't beat yourself up if you have been deceived, because they'll have served you at that time. So David Icke was someone who I turned to massively for a very long time and revealed a lot of truths to me and set me on a path. But then as time progressed and I started to align with greater truths that were beyond the likes of David Icke and stuff, I started to realise, oh, okay, these guys are they're a part of the same deception energetically, because now they're trying to lead people into fear and lead them away from God or lead them away from unity, and trying to just insist that we should go off the grid. A lot of New Agers say go off the grid. Terrible idea. So while then everyone else, our brothers and sisters, suffer, no thanks, I couldn't do that. And when people say, you know, just focus on yourself and the outward reality, this is what I mean. I'm going over it again, the New Agers that speak about bringing in the abundance for yourself, and it's all about self. If you are aligned with that and you selfishly want it to be popular and material things and acquire things, then you would have got it in that. You got it in that old way, how the energy worked. It's different now. You're going to see that. That's why the empire is crumbling. That's why it's falling to pieces. It's why the whole empire is about to crumble. As Michael to Siren said, and I've quoted it multiple times, and it's so beautifully and poetically put. Darkness has the seeds of its own destruction sown within. It will always cease to exist. It will never be the pervading force because it doesn't tap into the most powerful energy throughout the whole of creation. Love, care, unity, all these things. They've been searching and searching and searching. You've had all these powerful, clever, intelligent alchemists searching to be able to find the Philosopher's Stone, to find the keys to the universe, to master the Hermetic Eighth Principle, to unveil the Green Emerald Tablets of Thoth, whatever, whoever they've been aligned with. They wouldn't ever have been able to have found it. They wouldn't ever have been able to fully take the keys to the kingdom because they wouldn't have been able to do what beings of true light and love and compassion can do. They just wouldn't be able to because they're self-serving, so they wouldn't have been able to find the source, the energy, the power to go and do things like give up their life, like give of themselves to the service of others. They don't do that because it's not in their nature, so then they'll never, ever, ever reach that, the keys to the kingdom, the full keys to the kingdom. They might have took some, some of the keys, but the ultimate key to it all, they were never going to get their hands on it. Simple as that. So, so don't worry. If you're aligned with love, peace, unity, and all those things, everything else is just going to take care of itself. If you're not aligned with those things, self-service, me, not sharing the truth, the whole truth, because you have some agenda of keeping people trapped in a state of fear, so you keep feeding on their energy, they keep buying your tickets, they keep coming to see you, they keep buying your books, because collectively they've got the same fear and want the same bogeyman and want the same energy and want to set the same darkness to be a part of their reality, and they can't let it go because they're not high enough in their consciousness. They've maybe made some kind of deal that that's going to be the case and that was always how they were going to be, but it's up for humanity to align with the truth, which will happen because you'll just resonate and gravitate to those individuals. So watch for it. Watch now the downfall. Funnily enough, caught one last night. I'm not going to mention names because it's just, I'll leave you to discover it yourself. But I was watching one guy who just never resonated with me. Could see through him that it was just purely ego, wanted to be famous, wanted to be, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing, posing as the light, and he just does nothing but serve himself. And he got so popular, and I was watching it, and I just knew his fall would come. I didn't think it'd be so quick, but he came across, by no coincidence, came across my feed last night, and I was watching him, and I was like, wow. You just see the life's come out of him. He can't maintain eye contact at the lens for very long. I know I do it a lot. You look away deep in thought, but he's fidgety. He's looking down. He's looking here. He's here, there, everywhere. He's not the truth. And I used to say this on my Reiki academies that watch the politicians now. There's a reason the likes of Doris and all those and Hancock and all those guys, when they're speaking, they're like they're stuttering. They can't. The energy, the way that they manifest the words, not a great time to stutter then, was it? But the way that they manifest the words, when it comes out of it's not the truth, and the energy of the reality that we're now experiencing is a high frequency, manifesting falsehoods is going to be very difficult. This is why the age of enlightenment, truth, full spectrum, full clarity, that's what we're moving into now. If you're not aligned with that, you're going to look foolish. You're going to have a big fall from grace. And if you try and present yourself as anything other than the truth, even if it's the truth of who you are and you're fully exposed who you are, you'll be able to do that with ease. But if you're trying to create falsehoods, fear, lies, misdirection, watch what happens over the next few weeks, especially after this weekend. It's already been building for a very long time, but it's coming like a sledgehammer now. And just don't beat yourself up about it. I was a fan of David Icke, and it served me to be a fan of David Icke at that time. Now I realise he's not enlightened, he's shared many truths, and he's predominantly in fear. And look how much he was completely abstaining against Mr. T, who is no saint. But no one can deny he was doing the work of the light and fighting the dark. No one can deny that now. So why wasn't Mr. Icke, in his infinite wisdom and enlightened state of beingness, calling that, supporting him, outwardly supporting him? Because he didn't, for a reason. So, if they've been, to summarise, I know I'm waffling, so I just wanted to answer the question because I've been speaking about certain truths and veils and things like this. So I just want to give my guidance so you can better navigate through what's going to be a minefield coming up of exposing many of these wolves in sheep clothing. Firstly, if you realise the truth or they don't resonate with you anymore, just detach. Don't go and attack them because you're giving them your energy. So don't go and attack them. Just disconnect. You don't have to do anything. Just disconnect and align with these people that do resonate with you, that share a message that seems to resonate with you, and then unite with them, join them, support them, share the videos, show them the love, make comments, get involved, share their message, find your own version of their message that's your own and share it. Do whatever you want to do. But start expressing, start speaking, being, representing the truth in any way that you can. And all these others that are trying to hold on to fear, trying to keep people in fear, trying to promote the idea that CERN's something that we should be focusing. Why would we want to focus and bring that back into a timeline where it can be destructive? It's switched off. It's not possible for it to be activated. Trust me on that. It's not going to shift back to that timeline, but there are new ages and many others out there that are trying to shift our attention to it, to bring it back into a timeline of existence where it's dangerous. Why do we want to do that? We don't want to do that. That's my point. So these are the kind of things you need to look for. If they're keeping you in a state of fear, and I don't want to point fingers. There was one guy, people thought I had massive beef with him, I didn't. I see he was a lovely guy, but he was misleading so many people, and he became very popular because he's got a beautiful smile, and he has got a great smile, and he's, this great soul, but he was misleading. It doesn't matter whether they're great soul with great intentions. Sometimes you're misleading people, and from my perspective was misleading many people. Why? He was keeping people in a state of fear, which keeps consciousness down, which then manifests if a collective, a big enough number of those. This is why so many of the New Agers were dangerous, and so many of the truthers that were just fear. Putting the collective, or as many of your audience, and then you've got enough of those out there in different parts of the world and country, repeating a similar energy and message, you'll bring consciousness down and manifest those things into a timeline. And that's how it works. That's the alchemy of the collective, which is exciting because now we have the power. We're the majority. And I'll finish with this final note. I want to share some little snippets of insights as we move through time and I get reacquainted with you all. There's been many agents of deception throughout time. Like, it goes way back beyond, this plan goes back thousands of years. Really does. I know it's difficult to comprehend that, but, here's another deception. There's many, but here's one of many that many beings fell for, but I'm glad they did, because it wasn't the right time. So maybe it was a deception of the light. Something to ponder. Anyway, Tesla said the key to the universe is 3, 6, and 9. 3, 6, and 9 by its energy and number is moving you away from source. Source is the 0 point. Source is whole. It's infinite, isn't it? It's a circle. It's the two polarities of the highest high of light and the lowest low of darkness, where the 0 point is. The full spectrum of experience. The divine father and the divine mother, the divine masculine, the divine feminine. That's what it is. That's creation. So to be taking you to creation from an energy perspective, soul perspective, numerology perspective, it's not 369, that's taking you away. It's actually 432, the frequency. And then the Trinity that everyone speaks about. The Trinity exists in many forms, but here's the Trinity. Add 144 3 times. What number do you get? 432 brings you to duality, twin flames. Takes you away from separation. 4 3 2. 2 then becomes 1, singularity, union, divine feminine masculine, balance. 1 is next to 0. 0 is source, 0 is God, it's a 0 point. It's the center of the earth, it's the center of the universe. That's the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So these deceptions have been around for a very, very long time. The Holy Trinity is the 144. It's the leader of the 144 and the 13 tribes of Israel that consist of many beings because they've been around for tens and tens of thousands of years. So there you go. The keys to the universe are held within the 144. The 144 are those that have made the covenant with God. They agreed to the call out. The whole universe, not one source, one star, all from one source, the mother, and then the father, and then the whole universe. But the stars, there's many sources at play, many sources of energy connected to many beings. That's the beauty of planet Earth. So there is one pervading higher power, but then powers from that power. And that's when you find many beings aligned with different stars. The commonly heard of reptilians, they're from the draconian race. Many other beings, the Melchizedek race. These were the ones of the darkness. These were the ones that had call them agents of the darkness. So if you find some New Agers or those types that are preaching spiritual alchemy sort of truths and such like, and they're aligned with Isis, Ra, Thoth, the Egyptian deities that you're mostly connected to, they're of the darkness. It's as simple as that. That's the truth. I'm not judging them. The darkness is going to have its overlords and those that serve it. So then you start to think, okay, so what about certain beings that you see in Egypt maybe on programs like Gaia and that? Actually got massive platforms. Why are they not getting shadow banned and stuff? Why was lots of truths not getting shadow banned, but then small timers like me with small humble profiles, massively shadow banned? Why were these other beings of light, supposed light, expressing truths, mostly related to places like Egypt, the dark occult that serves Satan, the Baphomet, and all the other dark overlords? That's what, if you're massively aligned with Egypt and those deities, because they pull you in and you're aligned with dark deities, essentially. That's what they are. Anyway, I'm going to expose all this truth in time. And the truth is, right now, whether you entertain this idea or not, you'll see in time that all those energy sources, whether it was the Draconian race, Sirius B, any other systems, Lyra was another one infiltrated. The Pleiadians was infiltrated by the Draconians. However, they've managed to be freed up, so the Pleiadians have now got their source back. So if you're of Pleiadian origin, you will have had it rough the last few weeks because, you cut off from your source for a little while, but there was an alternative source you were feeding on. It's just not the one that best resonates with you. That's coming back. They're reconnected. If all this is foreign to you, don't worry. It's just a story. The story will either make sense in time or it won't. But what does it matter anyway? Anyway, I'm going to enjoy some more sunshine, catch some rays. It's my birthday as well, so I'm actually going to take some time off in amazing company. And thanks for all the birthday wishes so far, by the way. Very heartwarming and touching. And roll on tomorrow's meditation. I'll just finish with this. Told you I'm always a little bit lofty when I've been meditating, so thank you for bearing with me. Tomorrow's meditation, 9 p.m. UK time. I'll give some instructions in the description, most likely, rather than talk about it too much now. It's going to be very powerful. Thanks for all the feedback from the previous meditation. If you've not done it, it's still up on my Instagram, the Next Level Instagram account. You can watch it anytime and tap into it. You can do it multiple times. Many are already saying the third, fourth time they're doing it, it's becoming much more powerful. That's because you're connecting with it and you're building a greater connection to it energetically each time. So you thought the first time was powerful, wait till you do it second, third and fourth. And that's just going to become more and more powerful as we start to fully align with, well, the Divine Mother and Father, the truth, the light, the love. So I'll end on that note and I'll speak to you all tomorrow at some point. I'm going to enjoy my birthday, about the meditation. Hope you can all join me. I'm going to give some physical places in the country for people to go to, which will be interesting. So I'll put the post up early. So if you're on one of the ley lines or close to it, hopefully you will, go there. You'll feel the energy way more powerfully. And if you're not, don't worry, you'll still feel it anyway, because I'll be connecting you, because I'll be on a very powerful center ley line. Very powerful one, right at the tip of the pi triangles prime meridian. I can't get too mathematical and science when my brain's still a bit high. I'm not very good then. I have to be really grounded to go into that stuff. That's why I keep saying we'll speak about that bit at a later date, so I don't trip myself up and look like an idiot. So there you go. Finished waffling now. See you all tomorrow. Thanks for all the well wishes. Thanks for the people that have been sharing about the meditation as well. And I really do hope that more of you will have the courage to share your experiences, because we need to move away from what these dinosaurs have done to many of you, where because they boo-hoo your insights and the things that happen in your synchronicities, it's because they're low in conscience, not necessarily low intelligence, and not necessarily evil, or trying to do it because, you know, they're trying to steal your light. None of those things. It's just not their journey, and they're not part of the 144. They're not part of that covenant with God, which isn't contained to 144,000 souls, by the way. It's the frequency. So like I explained before, 432, the Trinity, 144 times 3. That's what it is. That's the keys to the universe. You that are aligned with that frequency are the keys to the universe. We're going to manifest heaven and earth, and I'm going to guide you, as well as many others are. I'm not the only one. So find them, seek them out. Ask to be presented the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth every day. Ask to be aligned with the beings of light and love, unity, peace. If you command it and keep saying it into your field, your energetic field, it goes into your toroidal field, which then, because of the magnetism of it, starts attracting that reality. This is how it works. This is how witches have been so powerful at being able to conjure things up for themselves, because basically they're just using words and mantras and spells to manifest that reality. That's one of the true keys to the law of attraction. The spoken word made manifest. It's how creation started. Go and look it up. Anyway, I've waffled long enough. 38 minutes on the clock. 38, 3 plus 8, 1. So we'll finish there. And remember, no fear, only love.